Fight night, isn't it? This Saturday, February the 3rd, the WBA World Title Final Eliminator fight between numbers 1 and 2 world ranked light heavyweights Josh Buatsi and Dan Azeez. Best pals, but not that night. They go head to head at the Oval Arena at Wembley here in London. It's live on talkSPORT. Simon, you're looking forward to it. You will be there.
Indeed.
This man will be there as well because he is top ring announcer for Boxer. He hails from Denver, Colorado. You cannot help but see him when he's in the ring because he's a good-looking boy and stands 6'7" tall, and he's Kody Mommaerts, Big Mo to you and I, and he's Big Mo with us right here in studio. Mo, how are you?
I'm doing well, but Jim, listen, with giving introductions like that, I need to keep my job. So I need you to just, peel back a little bit, okay? I need to keep my employment. I give the introductions around here. No.
Well, you do, and you do it brilliantly. How did you land in this position?
Kind of a crazy story. It all, I was a college football, American football player, and towards the end of my career, I liked public speaking. I liked getting in front of people. I was pretty comfortable on camera. Had some friends that suggested I should try commentary because that's a common transition when you get done playing the sport. But I was so tired of football and basketball, but I like combat sports. Joined on with a local promotion, became a color commentator. I saw the ring announcer. I was like, I think I can. That seems more my more my style, more my feel. So it happened. Gained a lot of notoriety. Started when I was 23. Got on social media. A lot of people started thinking that they started associating me with the Buffers. Some people thought I was their son. I'm not their son. I'm not related to the Buffers. That'd be pretty cool. And then just it took off from here. And then eventually I did a show in Dubai, and that's where Boxer and Sky saw me. And now I'm here.
Now you're here. I mean, you cannot help but notice this fella. He's a great presence in the ring and a great voice. I mean, it's all part of the show, isn't it, Mo? I mean, fight fans love it.
Yes.
You generate it and in come the boxers. But, I mean, do you practice at it before you actually get in the ring?
I mean, not as much as you would think. I don't know. I definitely make sure I have everything square in terms of pronunciations and where everyone is from and things like that. But as a general rule, once I got to get myself in the zone and have my own little pregame in the hotel while I iron a suit and a tuxedo and listen to music and things like that, I'm ready to go. I love my job. I get a sense of euphoria from helping create a product that people like to watch. I think entertainment's important, and to be able to give you something that you can sit down, you can disconnect from whatever you're thinking about, whatever problems you have in your life, and just watch a product and watch content that I get to be a part of, then I'm a happy man.
I love it. He's as important. The fighter's obviously the main deal. But I think people like Mo, obviously Michael Buffer.
Of course. You look at them, you look at this young man here, you look at Michael Buffer, you look at Jimmy Lennon Jr., you look at Dave Diamond, who's come through now. It's all part of it. I remember going to watch a Lennox Lewis fight Evander Holyfield in Madison Square Garden, and you're in a unique place from the start. But when you get this atmosphere, and these guys are a massive part of it. And he's a very bright young man, by the way, this fella. I've had a few conversations with him. He's nobody's fool, this young man.
Yeah. You've got your own views on the fight game, obviously, as well, Mo. I mean, as well as all that, there's always conjecture as to how does boxing arrive at the judging and the process of judging at the end of it. And you often see, as happened with Josh Taylor, of course, when that decision was made and the uproar that it caused. You've got your own thoughts on that and how the judges get to the scorecards you get to.
Yep, I think coming from a sports background, football, basketball, it can be very black and white with scoring. It's very, you have to get the ball in the net, you have to get the ball in the hoop, right? That equals a certain amount of points. When you start getting into combat sports, whether it's boxing, MMA, kickboxing, you start to deal with subjectivity. And at that point, it's not as black and white because you have different criteria on why someone judges a fight. And now you also have someone different that has their own view of that criteria. You may have someone that comes into the fight thinking, okay, well, I think they're going to box like this. And they immediately start paying attention to one aspect versus another. Changes everything because they come into it with a mindset. They may be watching it in a different way. And people may like that. They may complain about it. But personally, to me, I think it's one of the many things that makes combat sports so unique and so interesting.
Sure. I mean, you were working with Natasha, Jonas, Michaela Meyer.
Yeah, great example.
Now, that's a perfect example. The way that went, and it went to Natasha, do you agree that was the right decision? Is this too controversial to get into? But what were your own take on that?
Well, when I got up, and again, I kind of see that after the commission totals it up, I see the scores before anybody. So I was walking up, and I always like to kind of play the game with myself. What do I think it is? Am I right? That type of thing. I actually thought it was going to be a draw when I got up there. And you never want that. You don't want a draw. You want to have a deciding winner.
Yeah.
So I definitely understood where different judges maybe felt on the situation. But when I went with Jonas, I understand maybe why the judges saw it that way, and I would have understood it why Mayer saw it that way. And I hate to be this neutral person. I understand that people want to get one answer or another, but I working with enough judges now and how different they are and that type of thing, I can understand maybe why they scored it for Jonas.
Sure. This weekend, Dan Azeez, Josh Buatsi. Those are two names that are presumably easy for you to deal with on a live mic. Have you ever had a real tongue twister that you've got to put your own take on it?
Absolutely. But I also want to point out that Joshua Buatsi, we pronounce his name incorrectly a lot. And I think that identity and names is actually really important to someone. But Joshua Buatsi is from Ghana, and he has Ghanaian descent.
Right.
And I remember having this conversation with him. I like introducing people by their home name. For example, Joseph Parker, I introduced him by his Polynesian name, by his chief name. Joseph Parker is not necessarily a Polynesian descent name, so I liked introducing him by his name, albeit a little bit complex. Joshua Buatsi is very similar. His last name is actually pronounced Buatsi. It's not pronounced Buatsi.
See?
But it's something that's happened, and we've just kind of rolled with it over time, which I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Right.
But I'm the type of person that I want to introduce.
You want to be right.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be right. If
Quite
there's a right answer, I want to have it, personally.
Correct. Quite right, Big Mo. Well, Dan Azeez and Joshua Buatsi. No,
we can roll with Buatsi. He's okay with it. No, I can't tell him he's okay.
Buatsi. Let's roll with Buatsi. They were in studio Mo with us just last week. And there was a bit back and forth with the two of them as to whether or not Buatsi is a favourite going into this. Have a listen.
Being in a bubble, I understand, you know what I mean? And, not paying attention to bookies, odds and whatnot. Like, Josh, you really believe that just the business of the sport, you're not the favourite? Like, you really...
Listen, I have no idea. Someone come up to me the other day and said, Azeez has been more active than you, Josh. It's not looking good for you. I think he's going to win.
We know boxing, though. Come on, like, we know boxing. Like,
so, Dan, if we know boxing,
you know what I mean? Like,
if we know boxing, activity is very key.
No, 100%, 100%. But we both know, like, it's February 3rd. Whoever turns up, that's what it's about. Whether you've been active or not, whether I've been active, that's
what I said to the guy. I was like, you might say I haven't been active, but every time I turn into the ring, I do show up and I win.
Now, Mo, that's as heated as it got with these two because, as you know, they're good mates.
Yes.
Do you prefer it when you're standing in the ring and there is one atmosphere of real needle?
Well, I think that the atmosphere, it can go a lot deeper than the needle between the two. I think that the atmosphere takes into account a lot of different factors. For example, Jonas Mayer, there wasn't a lot of needle between the two, but I think everyone that was there can agree it was a great atmosphere. And I think that's part of my job, and I think that's a lot of the part of the creation of content around the show that makes it a product, is to where, regardless of how the fight is or how it's built, if you can have a product that's engaging to the consumer, then that's how everybody wins regardless of how the fight goes. And so I think that, when you talk to a lot of boxing promoters, and I've said this before, but when you ask them who their competition is, they always list off other promotions. I disagree. I think your competition is any other form of content that someone can watch. So as we see these new players come in and we see these new broadcasters and we see these new promotions, now the challenge is on the promotion and the companies to put forth a product that people want to watch, opposed to not watching boxing at all, watching Netflix, listening to music, going to a concert, not watching TV at all. So I think that the product, which encompasses the ring announcer, commentators, camera angles, everything that goes on to it, I think now the challenge is, can we put forth the best product possible?
And it's very competitive, that area, isn't it? To
more
get
so.
The best product out there, but you're part of the best product.
You're dang
and
right.
you play a big part in that. You get any favourite venues around the UK or around the world that you're thinking, I want to go there again because I love that place?
Well, I mean, the Manchester Arena is... I like big crowds. That's my thing. I want as many people there as possible. I want to feel the energy from people. So obviously I think Wembley is like a dream for me. But if I can ever do Madison Square Garden, but the Manchester Arena, I've done a lot of shows there. Did both Smith Eubank fights there. Done a few of them there. Yeah. So that one's electric. I love the O2. But I mean, every venue is my favorite on the night of the fight. So this Saturday at the Ovo Arena, Wembley is going to be my favorite.
Yes, sure thing. You ever been close to cocking it up, making a mess? Because it's live and you got one chance and you've got to get the names right. I don't want to spook you.
No, I genuinely don't. I'm very OCD. I'm a perfectionist at what I do, so I don't like making mistakes. And I think that, in general, I don't make them. And that may seem a little
I love that.
arrogant, but I genuinely don't like to make mistakes, and so I avoid it.
Am I making a mistake with Beterbiev, or am I right with Beterbiev?
I don't know until I've talked to him. That's the only thing, because I've heard announcers call him by both names, and you would think that an announcer would want to check before they did it.
Yeah.
So I don't know without asking him. So maybe we have to set up a fight where I can announce him, and then I can find out for sure.
I think he's right. I mean, I got in front of him at the end of that fight you and I were at.
You did?
When he
Yard.
when he overcame Anthony Yard. I'd be actually quite scared to ask him about how to pronounce his name, although he does everything with a smile on his face.
In the most recent fight with Callum Smith, he was announced as Beterbiev, and I'm assuming in the same way that Kody would have done his diligence, that the ring announcer has asked the fighter himself. It's the main entrance. It's the fighter's name that's being put out there. They will have agency on this.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing is that for me, it's phonetics. It's not how something is spelled. So for me, I need to be able to hear someone from that dialect or from that background say it, preferably the fighter themselves. But if it's not the fighter, if I can find a replay from a show that they did, maybe from where they're from originally, and I can hear someone from that background say it, then that helps me do it even more.
Great stuff. What can you promise us? I mean, you know the names coming up on Saturday night.
I'm so glad you asked me this.
Do you want to give us a burst of what you'll do?
Well, absolutely.
But I'm loving this. This lunchtime.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that I can do even better potentially is maybe introduce you both.
Yes, yes.
So,
now, bear in mind, he's got a broken toe. So he might not give you the reaction you might expect.
He wasn't asking me for a ring walk, was he?
Oh, you've done your ring walk, have you? So Jim White and Simon Jordan, I absolutely love this.
Audio guys, we may need to turn down the levels on this microphone. We got the thumbs up over here. Ladies and gentlemen, live from talkSPORT Studios here in London, England, this is your main event of the afternoon. Introducing the reigning, defending, legendary, one and only, #1, best-looking, defending talkSPORT Tag Team Champions of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Simon Jordan, and he is Jim White.
Come on!
Well done, Kody.
Come on!
You got the order right as well.
Everyone's running from all parts of the building. We're fine in here. Don't worry. We're okay. Big Mo, wonderful.
Absolutely. And I look forward to this Saturday.
Great seeing you.
We got to talk about it this Saturday. We have a great fight. I've been able to kind of sit back and get my own master's degree in education of boxing as I've been over here. I think I've boiled it down now that boxing fans in general have 3 major complaints with boxing. #1, hard to make the good fights, hard to make the 50-50 fights, the best fighting the best.
Yep.
It's hard to find all the different boxing content that's available on all these different platforms and all these different services. I have this platform, I have this platform, I have this platform. And third, domestically, a lot of people here don't like that we lose fights internationally. They want to see the fights here. So I ask all the listeners that are listening right now, tell me how Buatsi Azeez did not answer all 3 of those issues. We got the best fight in the best.
Great question.
Top ranked.
Yeah.
We have it on Sky and NBC Peacock, so 2 of the biggest networks in the world. I don't know a single person that doesn't have those. And live on talkSPORT, so there's another one.
Yeah.
And third, it's happening 40 minutes that way at the Oval Wembley.
Exactly.
Sells itself.
Box ticked. Big Mo, you're a star. Thank you so much.